Hello, everybody. Hello. I'm sorry for being a couple minutes late. We had some technical difficulties. That's what happens. I am super excited to have you join me and Kelly today. So, as you come in, please say hi. I hope you all approved StreamYard so I can see who you are. So as you come in, please say hello. Tell me that you're here because otherwise I don't know. And I want to know who you are, where you're coming in from. Kelly is an amazing, special person. I've heard her speak at Blue Talks. Hi, Marina. Hi, Naomi. I'm not going to introduce her. I prefer when the people introduce themselves because I can't do justice and I don't want to read from a paper. Hi, salud, aloha from Napa. And so I'm going to bring her over without further ado. And Kelly will introduce herself and then we'll jump right into her story and then in her writing career.
Okay.
Well, welcome, Kelly. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited to be here with you. I've been waiting for this for a long time. You booked me like months and months ago.
I know. You know what? I am booked already till probably end of January. And today I spoke to somebody and I just want her to bring her so much to the group that I told her that I'm going to have to do 2 in 1 week to have her because I can't wait until February. But thank you. Thank you for being patient, to waiting all this time and to being, willing to share your story in our group. We have already a bunch of people here. We have Naomi and Marina and Salud and Penny. And I just wanted you to see that people are here sending their love. So Kelly, I want you to start by telling your story, telling people about yourself, your experience. And if I have any questions, I will interrupt you and ask you a couple questions.
Please do. Yeah, because I can't see the chat. So please tell me if there's any questions. One other question I have for you, though, Mary, is how long is your show? Is it half an hour or an hour?
It's an hour.
Okay, excellent. Good. So I can tell the long version. So
yes.
I forgot to ask that when we were in the green room. So, my story began basically when I was 2 years old, and we lived on a farm. And my cousins were over for the weekend, and my cousins wanted to go outside and burn the shingles from the old barn roof because Grandpa had told them to do it. And so they went outside, and my mom, she was only 21 at the time, and she was pregnant with my sister. And, I wanted to go play, right? I wanted to go be with my cousins. So my mom had to decide, am I going to let her go outside or am I going to keep her inside? So my mom decided to let me go outside. And then a few minutes later, she could hear some crying and some screaming and opened the door to find me covered in flames. And so, of course, she ran out. My neighbor had come down the driveway, and my cousin had a bucket of water, and they threw it on me, and they put the flames out. They grabbed a blanket, tore off my clothes, wrapped me in the blanket, and away we went to the hospital. I spent 4 months in the hospital. Every 2 days, I would have to go in the operating room for more surgeries. And then every 2 years, until I was 20 years old, I would go back for more surgeries because they needed me to grow. So as I got taller, then I would have more skin to work with. So that's why they needed me to grow. So my whole life was consumed with trying to, be beautiful. Like that's what I wanted. My doctor just wanted me to get functional. In the meantime, I wanted to be the beautiful girl. I wanted to be the princess. You know what it's like. We grow up as little girls and we just want to be beautiful. We want to be loved. And when I walked past my teacher's desk when I was in grade 5, I saw a picture someone had drawn of me. And it was a circle with scribbles all over it. And it said Scarface.
Wow.
And that was in grade 5. So I knew that that's what the kids were calling me, was the Scarface girl. And of course, I was devastated because, I would look at somebody that had glasses, and if you call them four eyes, they could just, you know, go get contacts and they would lose their name, right? Someone who's overweight could just go on a diet and they would never be called fat again. Me, being that I was going for surgeries every 2 years and nothing was working as far as I could tell. I mean, definitely it was working, but for me, the scars were still on my face. And so I believed it wasn't working. And so I knew that I was always going to be the ugly Scarface girl because my scars were not disappearing. And I remember being about 15 or 16 years old, and I prayed to God. And I said, "Dear God, please don't make me wake up in the morning. But if I have to, can I at least be scarless so I can be pretty like all the other girls? Thank you, amen." And of course, I woke up, and of course, I looked in the mirror, and of course, I still saw the scars. And so I was devastated because that meant to me I was going to be ugly forever.
Wow. Well, how old were you then?
I was about 15 or 16. So I was right in that high school range. So I was, I was just tired. I was tired of being stared at. I was tired of being teased. I was tired of, not getting the guy. I didn't have my first kiss till I was like 18, right? I was tired of being the ugly girl.
I know. So your high school experience was really around surgeries and you feeling this way about yourself? Did you have wonderful moments? How about the girls? Did you have good girlfriends?
I had some friends, for sure. I definitely had friends, but I never felt a part of anybody. I never felt like I was really included. I
Mhm.
always felt like I was the outcast, right? I never felt like I fit in.
Interesting. How did you deal with the pain, the physical pain?
Well, thank goodness there's good drugs out there.
Yeah.
you
So
know,
it was managed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. I had to be on painkillers. I had to be on antibiotics. So, every time I would have a surgery, I would have to, of course, the first thing is antibiotics because they don't want you to get an infection. And then the second thing, of course, is painkillers so that you don't have to feel the pain. And I still remember when I was about 16, and I don't remember if I spent my 16th birthday in the hospital or not, but I do know that there was a couple of summers where I had to spend my birthday in the hospital.
Wow, that's so.
And I was devastated. I mean, who wants to spend their summer birthday in the hospital? And especially back in those days, kids were not really allowed to go to the hospital to
Right.
visit, right? Like you had to be immediate family in order to to visit somebody in the hospital. So I never had a whole lot of visitors other than my mom. My mom was there like every day from, as often as she could be there. So she was there all the time. So she was always there. And then my dad, he lived on the other end of Canada. So he would come, every time he could also, he would come to visit me. But still, it's not the same, right?
No.
Growing up in a hospital. And I figured out that I probably spent about a year and a half of my life in the hospital.
Wow, that's a lot. Kelly, walk us through the journey, the healing journey, because today you are a public speaker, you are on podcasts, you are strong, you're proud of who you are, you are an incredibly accomplished woman, you coach people, you help people, you are an author, you are the subject of a documentary in Canada.
Yeah.
So there is so much going from you. If we for you and around you, and you have this captivating personality. People want to be, people, nobody. I never felt for a second like I couldn't approach you. I mean, the first time that I heard you speak, I sent you a message, and I wanted to become friends with you. So walk us through your healing journey and how you reach the point that you're so comfortable with who you are, because that I don't know if you know, but I'm a fashion designer.
Oh no, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah,
No,
that's
that's
not,
so cool.
everything else that I do is for fun. Fashion is really how is my job. But it's interesting because I'm in a profession where I see, first of all, I'm not, I'm a very different kind of fashion designer because I'm not, I'm bigger. I am not so much into all of the, being perfect. I really try, you know, if you look at my Instagram, I have models of all shapes and abilities and disabilities of what people call disabilities, which I don't like because it's
Yeah.
different abilities. So I'm not your typical fashion designer, but I am in a business where that perfect beauty is the thing that it's revered. And even though I'm very different, I get sucked in and I'm looking at the models and they're so stunning and so
Yeah.
perfect. And I have to remind myself, you know, um, each person has their own talents, each one has their own strengths, and everybody's beautiful and beauty comes from within. But it is something that we all need to work on. So I think that your story connects with everybody. You know, you don't have to be had gone
Perfect.
through an accident that like you had, or you know, everyone can learn from you this you know comfort that you
Yeah.
have, this comfortable feeling. So share with us your journey.
Oh my God, I can't wait to share this story with you. Especially now that I know that you're a fashion designer. So, about 12 years ago, I remember going to a garage sale, and this lady says to me, they couldn't do better than that.
I can't
I
believe
know.
I can't
And
believe
I was shocked and I was really hurt. Really. And I was an adult too. So, it shouldn't have affected me the way it did, but it did. I was so bothered by it. And I just thought, you know what? Oh, what am I going to say to this woman? And I looked at her and I said, I happen to think I look pretty damn good.
good for you.
And I went in my car and, because I was with my former husband at the time, and I said, why am I letting a complete stranger take my power away? I will never see this woman again. And not once have my kids or my family or any of my friends ever said to me, Mom or Cal, I would love you more if you were scarless. Not once. Right? And so I think that's what really bothers me about life is that we are so um, we judge ourselves so harshly. We compare ourselves to everybody else, and especially if you're in the fashion industry, you need to be perfect. And if you're not flawless, you're not beautiful. So, anyways, right around that time, I was done feeling like the ugly girl. And do you know Ben Berry?
No.
Okay, so he's a Canadian who is responsible for convincing Dove to use real people as models. So instead of going with a size 0, he convinced them to use average, ordinary women to be their models.
I saw the campaign. I didn't know that he was in charge of it.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes. And so they were putting on a contest, and one of the gifts or the prizes was that you got to meet Ben Berry and you got to model for him. And I was like, oh my God. So there was this competition called the Every Woman Model Search Competition. And I'm one of these crazy people that I want to do things just because I feel like doing it. So, anyways, I thought, oh my God, I want to meet Ben Berry. I really think that him and I could work together. Me being a burn survivor, him all about promoting, using real people, like average people as models. I think we could do something. So, anyways, I I entered my name and I won a spot. So I got the out of 1,500 people, I was one of 30 people selected to walk the runway. Now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, because I don't like models. Okay, because of having to be perfect and me never being perfect, I will never be able to be like a model because I'm not perfect, right? So these are the stuff that's going on in my head. But I'm thinking, well, even if I fail at walking the runway, I can do a great speech. So I knew that I could still do a great speech. So I do my runway thing, and the runway thing's only like 20 feet, so that was good. And then I do my speech, and I become one of the top 10.
Wow.
Now I'm excited, but I'm also mad. I'm excited that I'm top 10 because I'm one step closer. I'm mad because it means I have to walk the runway again.
Uh-huh.
And so then they take me to Calgary, and we have this modeling practice. And so they have this big guy teaching us how to walk the runway. And so there's 60 people, and they're all walking the runway, and he's teaching them how to walk properly. And it's now my turn to practice in front of everybody and my walk. And so he said, okay, Cal, it's your turn, go. And I said, no. He goes, what do you mean, no? I'm not doing it. He goes, yes, you're beautiful, you're gorgeous, you can do it. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. He goes, yes, you can do it. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. He goes, yes, you can. And I, fine. And I did it. And I was so bad, he made me do it again. And I'm pissed off. My head is going nuts. I'm saying the F-bomb more times in that 5 minutes than I did in a million years. I am so mad because I have to now walk it again. And I'm like, why am I doing this? And then I remembered the whole point. And the whole point was that I want to show people that you don't have to be perfect in order to walk the runway. So I actually ended up winning the People's Choice Award. So,
oh my God.
yeah. And then the media went nuts for the story because here I used to hide myself. I didn't want people to see my burns. I just wanted to blend in. I don't want people to see my burns. I don't want people to see my ugly scars. I wanted people to just say, wow, is she ever beautiful?
Kelly, I'm going to tell you something. I don't know that you know this because I don't talk so much about myself when I'm talking to other people because I'm always more curious about the other person. But my entire collection is based on kintsugi. Do you know what kintsugi is?
No, I don't.
Kintsugi in Japanese culture is this.
Oh, right. Yes. The
It,
gold.
it's when they put it together with gold and it celebrates imperfection. In my entire collection, my designs are all based in kintsugi. And the whole purpose of my company, my brand, the mission of our brand is exactly that. It's to celebrate our imperfections, is to see our scars as badges of honor, is exactly what makes us stronger, more unique, and beautiful. And the book that I wrote is about the interviews that I've been conducting with women for the last 2 years. Because and I spoke about that last Wednesday. I had another interview, and I said that for me, the thrivers, women like you, are the heroes that we need to look up to and learn from. Our culture is so crazy that we're looking at actors and musicians. Not that there aren't actors and musicians that have amazing stories to share, but that's not what we are idolizing. It's their beauty, it's their clothing, it's their moves, it's their voices, as opposed to their stories of resilience. So when you're telling me that, this is like, oh my God, I need an introduction there.
And I love it. I love that you and I are having this conversation about it because, I always thought I had to be perfect. And I will never forget this story. So my friend Paul and I, we were at the bar, and it was getting late at night, and I asked him if he'd walk me back to my car. And I said, sure. Or no, I asked him if he'd walk me to my car, and he said, yes, of course. So we're walking, and as we're walking, we see a guy coming towards us, and he's staring at me. And I'm thinking, I said to Paul, I said, you know what? I'm so tired of people staring at me. And he said, Kel, he's staring at you because you're so darn cute.
Interesting. Wow.
Right? And so that moment made me realize, why am I always thinking that every time somebody looks at me, they're thinking I'm ugly. Right? But that was how I brought up because I believed I was ugly. So I believe that everybody else that's looking at me is thinking I'm ugly too. And so it took a whole boatload of work to finally accept that I could be beautiful or that I am beautiful.
So tell me, give me an example of the type of work that you did, because if there is somebody listening to this either now or she will listen to this in the future, and she needs a technique, she needs a tip, she needs some tool that you used that she could implement in her life. What would you say to her?
Okay, so here's my turning point. Remember, we had the garage sale story. Well, another thing that happened was that I said, okay, that's it. That's enough. That's enough. I beat myself up enough. Why is it that when I'm with somebody new and they'll say to me, you know what, Cal, I noticed your scars for 5 minutes. After that, I didn't see them anymore. And I said, well, why not? They're still there. The scars have not disappeared. They are physically still there. And I said, what is going on? Why don't people see it? And it's because they're seeing your smile, they're seeing your energy, they see your spirit, they see, your personality, they see your big green eyes, they see everything else about you. They aren't seeing your imperfection. They're seeing what's beautiful about you. And so that made me realize that, okay, when I look in the mirror, we learn when we watch Snow White. Have you watched Snow White?
Oh, years ago, but yes.
Exactly, right? Every single one of us can say we've watched Snow White as a little girl, and in Snow White, the evil queen looks in the mirror and the mirror talks back. So we learn as 3, 4, 5-year-olds that our mirror talks to us. And of course, it's just that voice that's in our head. But what happens is we allow that voice to decide whether we're going to feel beautiful or ugly. So when I would look in the mirror and I would say, am I beautiful? My mirror would say, no, you're not. You're ugly. You have scars on your body. Beautiful women don't have scars on their body. You are not a beautiful person. So what I had to do, and this is my turning point, I had to change the conversation in the mirror. So what I would do, instead of going in the mirror and saying, am I beautiful? I would say, I love my big, beautiful green eyes. And that voice didn't say anything because I believe it. Then I would look in the mirror again and I would see my cute little nose. I'd turn my head and I love my cute little nose. Again, that voice didn't say anything because it's true. I believe it. And then I would look at my little ear, and my little ear is deformed, and some people might think it's an ugly ear. And I would say, I love my cute little ear. There was a time I was going to get it taken off and have a brand new ear made. And I thought, why? Just so somebody else looking at me can think I'm beautiful? And then I had my favorite jeans on. And so I turned around, I looked at my butt, and I said, oh my God, I happen to love my cute little hot butt, And, I wasn't bragging about myself. I was learning to embrace myself.
You
And
were
then what happened?
yourself.
I was embracing it.
It's the
right?
most beautiful thing, for sure.
Exactly. And so the next time I looked in the mirror, I didn't see my ugly scars. I saw everything I loved about me. And so that's what I encourage women and teenagers to do. When you go in that mirror, don't pick yourself apart. Go and love those little parts that you love about you. And when you start to learn to love all those little parts, you're going to see how beautiful you are. But we are taught that if we don't love all of us, then we can't love ourselves at all. And so I am living proof that that's wrong. We don't have to love every single bit about our body in order to be beautiful. We can just love our little parts and still love us.
So true. And I have a whole part on my book about it. And I talk about the conversation with the mirror. And actually, in my book, I write that we should put Post-it notes and put it around our mirrors with reminders, because sometimes we come to the mirror already with a story that we shouldn't be
Yes,
telling ourselves. So I said, put post-it notes in the mirror so you come in and you're already set up for success to, to talk about those beautiful parts, like you said, and the things that you believe in, and
absolutely.
are you hearing a noise?
I totally agree with you. Absolutely. I think that's so important, is put those reminders about how beautiful you are, or how smart you are, or how, whatever it is that you love about yourself, put that up there.
100%. Now, tell us about the documentary.
The documentary. Okay. In fact, I think I have the book too. Oh, I do.
Great.
So I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm
Now,
gonna
the
put
other
it
one.
on my face.
Yeah.
You
A
guys see
little,
it?
yeah.
There we
Still.
go. So this is one of my latest books called Still Beautiful. And Still Beautiful. Here's what happened with that. I decided, probably, I think it was about 6 or 7 years ago, I knew I wanted to write a book called Still Beautiful. And people were saying, yeah, but it doesn't sound right. It means you're implying that they don't think they're totally beautiful. And I said, yes, but that's the whole point. There's not one single woman in this world that will tell you that she is 100% beautiful. Every single woman can pick at least one thing wrong with them, at least. In fact, it's probably more like 10 things, right? And so I always wanted to do this book called Still Beautiful to say that, yes, you may have a flaw, but you're still beautiful, right? So, anyways, what happened is I went to Maui because I went to a book publishing conference, and Wayne Dyer and Doreen Virtue were there. Yes. So I got to meet Wayne Dyer
Oh my God.
about 3 months before he passed away. And so I wrote this book proposal, Still Beautiful. And so another friend of mine was encouraging me to make a documentary out of it. And I said, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do that. But what happened is I had a different documentary with a broadcaster called AMI. And so I approached AMI and I said, hey, I just wrote my book proposal for Still Beautiful. I'm being encouraged to make a documentary out of it. I don't know if this is something you're interested in or not. Maybe it is. And so I don't know, might be a stupid idea. And so, anyways, they emailed me back and that they said that they definitely wanted to talk to me. So they said, do you want to produce this by yourself or co-produce it with us and we'll put some money in the pot? And I was like, hell yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, bring it on, right? I'm all in for that. So 2 years ago, they came to my, like, it took about 2 year process. So they wrote a script and they came out and they filmed me for like 6 weeks. They even went down to San Francisco with me and they filmed me with a burn survivor, a friend of mine. They recreated my accident of getting burnt as a 2-year-old and growing up. There's some school scenes and some hospital scenes. They just did an incredible job on it. And so it aired on Accessible Media Incorporated in Canada, all across Canada. And then I decided to create the book. So I did the documentary first and then the book afterwards. But what I did with the book is I included 22 other friends of mine who wanted to share their stories of being beautiful. And some of them, had weight problems. Some of them had cancer. Some of them were addictions. One girl was, pregnant at 16. And everybody has all these stories that they wanted to share about being beautiful. And so, yeah, it came out and then we made it into a best-selling book. And yeah, I'm proud of it. It's awesome.
I am so in awe of you. Now, I went to try to look at the documentary, but it said that it doesn't work in my area. Is it only allowed in Canada? How does it work?
Well, the problem is we haven't got a broadcaster to pick it up in the US yet. So we've only got it in Canada. So we're still looking for someone that might want to air it in the US and outside of Canada. So that's what we're doing.
Well, I have to introduce you to Deborah. She spoke in our group last month, September, when it was the cancer, not the cancer, it says Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month.
Okay.
She was a TV producer. She worked with PBS. Now she has her own TV called Well World TV. And I am going to make a connection between the two of you. And who knows what's going to happen? I don't know. Maybe something can happen.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, because we definitely want to get it out there in a bigger way. And so, yeah, any help that we can get would be awesome. Thank you. I'd appreciate that.
Sure, my pleasure.
Great.
It's incredible. How many books have you written so far?
I've written 6 myself. So
are they all about your story, or is it all?
One of my stories, so that's No Risk, No Reward. That was my very first book. And what happened with that one is that my speaker coach at the time, when I started speaking 10 years ago, she said, "Kel, you need to be a book. You need to be an author." And the reason you need to be an author is so that when you get asked to speak for free, you have a product to sell, but also so that when people hear you speak and they want to know more about you, then they have a book that they can take home and learn more about you. And so I did that. And then 6 months later, I met another girl who said, "Okay, Cal, now that you're an author, you need to be a best-selling author. Because once you're a best-selling author, then you can get higher fees, more stages. You look more like an authority figure." And I'm thinking, oh my God, like I just wrote my first book. How can I now do a second book? Like I didn't think I had any content, like enough content for that. So anyways, my second book is called Self-Esteem Doesn't Come in a Bottle. And so that's actually one of my favorites because, so many people are just getting Botox or, anti-aging creaming or, like shampoo where they're spending so much money on products that are not working. And and so anyways, that's one of my favorite books. And then I did a teenager book and I've done a dating book. So
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so we have been talking with the group, the Heal with Gold group, about writing for healing. And you're the third speaker this month that is an author. And I wanted to know from you, did the process of writing help you with your own healing? Because by the time you started writing, you were already feeling comfortable with yourself. But how did the process of writing help? Because what I'm trying to encourage my ladies, my loved ladies, is that not everybody has to be an author, but that the process of writing itself can be so healing. So tell us about, how did you feel about the writing process?
And I would love, I also want to share my mom's perspective.
Okay. Yes.
So
yeah.
So for me, it was all about remembering, right? Because I don't remember getting burnt. I only know what people told me. And I don't remember my life till I was about 5 years old. And then I start remembering my life. So my first book was written while I was married. So that was a certain portion of my life. Now, in the past 10 years, I've left my husband, and so now I'm single. Well, I'm dating a guy, but you know what I mean? I'm not married again yet. So anyways, I really believe that my biggest transformation has been over the last 10 years.
Wow.
And really learning more about my scars and my journey and why I got burnt. And I actually also lost a baby. So I had my daughter, and then a year and a half later got pregnant, and I lost her at 7 months.
Oh, wow.
And so, I had to figure that out. Why did I lose her? Like, what did I do wrong? Right. And then I ended up getting pregnant with the twins.
Oh, wow.
And so, and then I realized why I lost her, because if I would have had her, I never would have had the twins. So my whole life has been all about figuring out, like a lot of times you could see my life as a tragedy. Like if you were to look at my life and didn't know, all the things I accomplished, but if you were to just say, oh my God, how tragic is it that 2-year-old got burnt to 75% of her body? Like that's tragic, right? Like
Yeah.
the scars and the surgeries and everything. But then when you hear about that 2-year-old who grew up to be a multiple TEDx talker, she got the medal from the Queen. She got the YWCA Woman of Distinction. She's now a 7-time best-selling author. She documentary about her life story, a Goalcast video that's got 10 million views.
Wow.
Would you say that that 2-year-old life is a tragedy?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at
Right?
all.
And so I really believe that me learning how to be a speaker, writing my books and about my journey has helped me to heal, because like you and I are talking about models and, fashion design and all that. I hated models as a kid because I believed they were perfect and I would never be perfect. But then when I realized that my life is all about my journey of learning and living through what I've lived through, in order for me to teach people that they don't have to be flawless to be beautiful. And so writing about that and speaking about that has helped me to realize what God's purpose was for me. Okay? So
I have goosebumps. I don't know about what everybody else is feeling right now, but I literally have goosebumps because you were so right. How you put it, that from an outsider, this is a tragedy, but you know better, and you know what a hero story this is, what a beautiful story is, what a perfect story it is.
exactly. And and it real boils down to this, like, and this is something my mom would always say, you got to learn how to make lemonade out of lemons, right? There's so many people out there that get burnt, or they end up in a wheelchair, or they end up with something tragic happening to them, and all they can see is how tragic it is, but they can't see all the gifts that are going to come out of it.
And Kelly, that is why I make these interviews. There's two things, there's multiple things, but I want to show that, exactly that. But I also wanted to introduce people to people who look different, because we make such judgments. We see somebody that is burned and we may say, oh, they're a sad person.
Yeah.
I should just be blessed to have the joy that you have. We needed to meet. I spoke to a woman that I'm bringing her to the group. I believe it's even maybe next week. She's a little person. She's powerful. I had never spoken to a little person in my life. And when I had this opportunity, I feel that my life is richer because I was able to speak to her openly, ask her questions. She taught me, she inspired me, she empowered me. This is what this program that I have is all about, because now I believe that anybody who's going to hear you is going to think completely different when they see somebody that has some kind of a difference, that they are passing a judgment and they have no idea.
Exactly. And we're so quick to judge other people, and we're so quick to judge ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. And we are probably our own worst enemies. Right. I want to share this story with you too. There's a man that I met when I was 21 years old, and him and we worked at the same office, and I still remember meeting him, and I thought, oh my God, he is like so handsome. But there's no way he'd ever love somebody like me. Right? Because I'm the ugly girl. Right. And I was 21 at the time, and he was 29. And I was like, there's no way he's going to love me. I'm just too ugly for him. And he's this high-powered salesman, and I'm thinking, he's not going to love me. Well, we've reconnected over the years, and he finally revealed the truth to me over the past couple of years, that he fell in love with me in that same moment that I fell in love with him.
Oh my God.
Right? And how cool is that? But, back when I was 21, when I first met him, I just thought, well, he's not going to love me. I'm not beautiful enough. And all the while, 34 years later, I found out that no, he thought I was just as gorgeous then as I am now.
Incredible. This is incredible. You touched something about your mother before.
Oh, my mom. Yes. Okay, so let's talk about the healing for my mom. So my mom had tremendous guilt over me getting burnt because she was only 21 at the time and she was going to keep me inside to change my diaper. But because she decided to let me go outside, it was her fault as far
Mhm.
as she was concerned. Because of course, when something tragic like that happens, you want to blame somebody. So my mom blamed herself. My cousins blamed themselves because they threw the shingles in the fire. My grandpa blamed himself because he told my cousin to throw the shingles on the fire. My dad blamed himself because he wasn't there. And if he would have been home, I would have been playing with him. So everybody had all these little stories going on about how they could have prevented me getting burnt. But my mom had this tremendous, tremendous guilt her whole life. And so when I wrote No Risk, No Reward, which is my first book, I asked my mom, can you write something for my book?
Mhm.
And she wrote this like 20-page letter. And when you read it, you can hardly understand it because, you know, of all the mistakes that are in it, you can tell how upset she is. And, you know, she had to go back and relive it. And it was just so horrible for her because she has so much guilt around it. And I finally had to tell my mom, do you not get it? You believe in God. You know, you heard Papa say that the priest told him that I was meant to get burnt. There was a purpose for me that I was going to live no matter what.
Mhm.
And so anyways, we put it in the book, and what I did is I broke the stories up so they'd be easy for people to read because they're really hard to read because you can tell how emotional she is. 21 years old, she gave up her first baby for adoption at 16. She got pregnant with me at 19, and now at 21, she's saying to herself, and she's pregnant for the third time, I lost my first baby. I'm about to lose my second baby. Like, has God just like punishing me? Like, is that what this is all about? So, anyways, she wrote the letter and I put it in the book, and you know, she felt some healing with it. But the bigger healing came when she watched the documentary, and she finally got it. She's like, I get it. I'm
Because
supposed to help other people.
right, because she saw the whole picture now. She saw the ending. She saw that I call it the iceberg, you know, the part that's under the water that's so much bigger than what we can see. I talk about that in my book too.
Yeah,
That we're lucky when we get to see the whole picture. We usually don't. But at times we're lucky to understand the reasoning and the point of everything. And
exactly.
she
And
was
my
able,
mom finally got it. And so she has finally, after 2 years ago, she finally has forgiven herself.
I'm so happy to hear that. So
Yeah.
happy. So happy. I want to open up. Let's see. We have a comment that I didn't post. I'm trying to
Yeah.
find out that the writing healing journey really can be cathartic and a bottle of tears and sadness to accompany getting our thoughts down. And paper will help me from within 100%. And I wanted to recommend people to what I call it soul writing. And it is what your mom did because it doesn't have to be beautifully written. It needs to come from the soul in whatever shape it is, because they're not, we're not everybody's going to be a published author.
Yeah.
But the process of writing is such a gift because it really helps us heal, help us introspect, understand the bigger picture, and give value to things that sometimes we overlook.
Exactly. And you know, like I now coach people to become authors and best-selling authors. And you know, a lot of people come to me and they don't know how to start their book. And then they're also worried they're going to hurt somebody's feelings. And so I love that you're talking about healing, but what I also encourage people, you don't have to put that in a book. That might not be the story that you put in a book, right? Like there's certain things that have happened to me in my life between me and my ex-husband. I don't put it in a book.
That's right. And
right?
even in my book, I have a section that I say, I'm not going to go into it because the story is not only mine. And it's okay. There is a bigger message, and we shouldn't withhold it because part of it, we don't want to make it public, and that's okay. People told
Yeah,
me, oh, start the story like that and focus on that. And I'm like, no, I am a transparent person, and I'm just going to write this part I'm not going to write about. And that's it,
that's right.
and
That's
that's
right.
great.
So you can write it and then maybe just put it away. Or like some people, what they'll do is they'll write the book, they'll publish it on Amazon, but only just so that they have a copy for themselves or their family.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not like they want to sell it. They just want a paperback book to be able to
Uh-huh.
give to their kids or their grandchildren.
Yeah.
And that's fine too.
And I encourage anybody in the group that decides that they want to write their stories to contact Kelly, and maybe you can get help. I did get a little bit of help, not a lot of help because I knew what I wanted to do, but I got more help. I seeked out somebody to keep me accountable with my writing
Yeah.
because I started 2020 and I wrote because I have a paper document that I write every day, what I'm grateful for,
Yeah.
my dreams and my goals. So January 1st, I wrote, I'm going to write a book in 2020.
Yay.
And the months were passing and I was starting, I'm like, oh my God, what if the time passes? And I know it takes time to do once you wrote the story, there is editing, there is cover design, layout. It's going to take me time. And I suddenly got scared that I wasn't going to accomplish my goal. So I got somebody to help me. He emailed me every day for 30 days, telling me what to do next.
Yeah.
And I do it because I was very serious about it. So I was able to finish the writing part in 30 days. I had started already before, but it was very helpful. It's very helpful to have a coach. How did you get into coaching books?
Well, it just kind of naturally grew to that. So what was happening is people come to me for three reasons. So one is they would ask me, well, how did you become a speaker? The other thing they'd ask me is, how did you become an author? And then the third thing, they asked me something about, my scars or how I got burned or whatever. And so what was happening is that so many people were coming to me and I was like, okay, this is enough. Like, I'm going to have to start making money at this. Like,
100%.
yeah, it was like people were saying, well, can we take you for coffee and you can teach us how to become best-selling author? And I'm like, hold it. That's worth thousands of dollars becoming a best-selling author. So sorry, coffee's not going to cut it. At least buy me steak and lobster, like.
I need to send you steak and lobster. I have a book in the game.
That's right. So yeah, so it just kind of naturally started happening. And then when COVID hit, I lost all my speaking gigs and I didn't have a whole lot. So it wasn't that bad. But I just thought, okay, people were like throwing money at me. Look, Cal, I'll pay you to teach me to write my book, or I'll pay you to do it for me and do a bestseller launch. And now what's happening is I've been able to get people to be, best-selling authors before we even implement the launch. And that even happened with the Blue Talk book that you and I are both in.
Yes.
And
People
yeah,
don't,
so
people don't know yet.
Hey,
Kelly and I are part of an anthology, and hopefully it's going to be out by Christmas, but we're both writing chapters in a book together, and I can't wait. I already submitted mine.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. So, yeah, so I've just been having so much fun watching my clients come to me saying, I know I want to write a book. I just don't know how to start. And that's the question they ask me. How do I start?
Yeah.
And so it's been so much fun watching my clients go from, starting to finishing, getting it published to becoming a best-selling author. And I even have like some senior citizen ladies that have written like 2-3 books in 1 year following my process. So it's been fun.
Amazing. Now I want to open up for any questions. Does anybody in the group have any questions for Kelly? Now is the time.
Yeah, I'm
Kelly,
happy to answer questions.
you mentioned that you had a gift for the group. Did you want to share what that is?
Sure. So what I have is, because everybody says, okay, how do I do it? So what I did is I created the 7-step author blueprint. And where do
Wow.
I? So if they go to 7stepsauthor.com,
I'm gonna write this down. Yeah.
they can get the free blueprint.
Excellent. Guys, you have a blueprint now. And I think Gina last week asked about that. So I'll tag her because I don't think she was able to watch it live today. But now you have the beginning process to start writing, even if you don't want to publish, but you can write your stories.
Right. And then if you want further coaching to hold your hand and make you accountable, I'm definitely happy to do that. And if you want to be a best-selling author, well, then I have some other coaching programs for that also. So
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Kelly, first of all, we need to talk, I need the introduction to the Dove guy.
yes, for sure.
I would love to share exactly 7stepauthor.com. Salute.
Yep,
Thank
7
you.
steps. So that's steps with
Oh,
an
you
S.
have to add an S after step.
Yeah, 7stepsauthor.com.
Okay, perfect. So we'll definitely, and I'm going to connect you with Deborah. I don't see anybody with questions. Oh, questions. Thank you for the blueprint.
Very welcome.
Does anybody have any questions? Because now is your time. Kelly, any final thoughts?
It's I look back at my life and I see the journey, and I think about how did I get through as a teenager. And I remember when I was a kid, and while everybody was doing their things, I was sitting under a tree and I was visualizing what I wanted my life to look like. And I would never live in the past. And I think that that's what too many people do. I think that they spend so much time focused on what happened to them instead of seeing that they can actually create something out of their life. And I think that that's what we need to do, is stop focusing on the past and start doing something for your future. Right?
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more, really. We have a couple of minutes, and I wanted to read something that I wrote about everything that Kelly said. I have the thing about the mirror, but I didn't set aside to say that, so I'm going to read something else. I write like that. Kintsugi highlights the brokenness because perfection is achieved through the process of putting it back together. Look at nature. Can you imagine if all the plants and flowers were all even, all the same? Look how the variety, the different sizes, colors, dimensions, and shapes are all perfect in nature. We are so accepting that nature is not symmetric, that nature has so much variety, but we're less accepting when it comes to humanity. In nature, there are animals of all colors and shapes, and we don't discriminate against them, and they don't discriminate against each other. Some animals gain more weight, and we love them just the same. I know my dog Lacey is not watching her waistline, and she's just amazing as when she was trim and fit. I love her the same, and she hasn't complained. We have so much to learn from nature, right?
I love that you say that. I still remember a few years ago when I was thinking, when dogs look at each other, they don't judge people for what they look like. Or even when a dog looks at you, he's like, oh, you're too ugly. I can't love you. Right? Whereas we as humans are so judgmental. We look at somebody and we'll instantly, within 3 seconds, decide if we want to, get involved with that person, whether it be just to have a conversation or not. And I thought, how sad is it that we are so judgmental that way?
Yes.
Right? I love what you said earlier, because it's so true that, animals don't judge other animals by what they look like.
Yeah, we have to look into the natural world, nature, and see that varieties, everything is beautiful in nature. There is not one thing that you would say it's ugly,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So,
Kelly, thank you so much. Let me just read the last few comments. Yes, to visualizing my future. You know, Kelly, thanks kindly for being with us, listening to your amazing, inspiring journey. And with that, I thank you all for participating and coming, and Kelly for sharing your story. I'll treasure it, and I will be in touch with you. Hold on a second, one more comment. Let me do a quick judge, and I have no idea what the journey is in our life. 100%.
sure, that's awesome. Thank you.
My pleasure. Guys, have a great rest of your evening, a great Sunday. We will have, I will start sending all the notices about the next group of interviews. We have amazing ones coming. And Kelly, don't leave. I'll be with you in 1 second. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.